And at the moment, I think we've got everybody muted, and we'll keep you on mute for the time being. But welcome. It's good to see so many of you here, and many familiar faces as well as a lot of new faces. So thank you all for joining us. My name's Peter Sidebotham. I'm one of the panel members. I'm joined here by my colleague Simon Bailey from the panel, and then Lydia, Amina and Joe from the Secretariat, and Catherine Farquhar from the DFE commercial team. And this is an opportunity really for you to find out a little bit more about the pool of reviewers that we're going to be recruiting to support the Child Safeguarding Practice Review Panel in our work. And I'll explain a bit about that as we go along. Lydia, if you could go on to the next slide. Lydia, have we?
It should have moved on to the next slide.
Has it moved on for other people? Yeah, okay, I'm getting some thumbs up. Okay, it's just me that it's not. Okay, so what we'll aim to do is talk. I'll explain a little bit about the panel. I'll talk about what we're looking for in terms of the role of the pool of reviewers, and then the process for procurement and working with the pool, and then we'll leave plenty of time for questions and discussion at the end. So hopefully with the presentation we'll sort of give a bit of an overview, but then some time moving on to see where things go from there. So next slide. Okay, so this is the panel as it currently stands. We were established in 2018 following the revised Working Together as an independent panel of experts set up to oversee the whole process of learning from serious and fatal child safeguarding cases. And we represent a range of backgrounds. We're all from practitioner backgrounds with experience in frontline services across the different agencies involved in safeguarding children, and including the third sector in that. So many of you will have had a chance to meet many of the panel members and get to know some of us. We work on a regional as well as a national basis, so each of us take a responsibility for links with the different regions of England, but we also bring together that expertise, that multi-agency perspective, which I found has been incredibly rewarding in the 5 years that I've been part of this panel, and just a real privilege to work with others from different backgrounds, to learn from each other, and as we review cases, to be able to bring that multi-agency perspective. We don't always agree as a panel, and I think that reflects some of the real benefit of this multi-agency working, that we bring different perspectives to the learning. So next slide, please, Lydia. We see our role really in terms of these three core roles, functions that we aim to deliver. So firstly, an oversight of the system of national and local reviews and how effectively it's operating. Secondly, to identify and pull together learning both from the local reviews that are taking place and somehow sort of synthesize the learning from that so that it can be disseminated to a wider audience, but also where we identify particularly serious child safeguarding cases or issues that are complex or of national importance, the ability to commission national reviews and to pull that together as another level to our learning in this field. And then thirdly, as system leaders, and recognizing that we are in a unique position with links in both to frontline practitioners, managers, safeguarding partnerships across the country, but also strong links to the Department for Education, other government departments, other statutory and third agency bodies. And we're very aware of the opportunity we have, but also the responsibility that that brings to help shape both policy and practice. Next slide, please. So we could sort of see our vision and mission in terms of these sort of core areas of our strategic purpose as a key player in the national safeguarding ecosystem, with the ability to analyse evidence and learning from both national and local reviews and provide insights about multi-agency safeguarding practice. Ultimately, our aim is that this will result in better protection for children. The three key roles that I've just mentioned of oversight, system learning and leadership, and then our particular priorities that we work on, gathering, analysing and disseminating intelligence around the multi-agency safeguarding system, tackling some of these perennial and complex issues that arise in safeguarding practice. And you'll all be familiar with those things like decision making, communication, information sharing, risk assessments, all of those that are very real and ongoing issues for practitioners. To maximise the impact of learning from safeguarding reviews with robust and joined up leadership so that the learning is disseminated, acted upon and embedded. And we're particularly sort of keen to emphasise that these reviews, this whole process is not just about going back over cases, but doing so in order to learn, improve and ultimately to offer better support and safety to children and families. And then finally working independently to influence and challenging contemporary policy and practice, including evidence where and when specific groups of children are not well protected, and some of the very obvious ones that you'll all be familiar with: disabled children, Black and Asian children, children in care. Next slide, please. Looking back over the past couple of years and some of the work that has been done at a national level, we've been able to commission and complete these national reviews. First in 2020, the safeguarding of adolescents at risk of criminal exploitation, and some really valuable learning came out of that, and as part of a widespread of ongoing work in this area around criminal exploitation and extrafamilial harm. And that's work that we're continuing to prioritise and take forward as we go forward. Our second national review was on sudden unexpected death in infancy, and this has been quite encouraging in helping practitioners and safeguarding partnerships sort of recognise the particular vulnerability of some of the families that we all work with. And this has led on to some further work in terms of behavioural insights research, changes to policy and practice in this area. In 2021, we did a review of non-accidental injury in under ones. This was quite unique in that it included talking to some of the convicted perpetrators, men who had been convicted of harming their babies, and some really useful learning from that around working with fathers, male partners, and understanding some of the underlying motives, underlying circumstances that led perpetrators to harm their children, and what we can do to prevent similar incidents. And then more recently, last year, our review into the deaths of Arthur Lavinia Hughes and Star Hobson, and some of the very important policy and practice work that has come out of that and out of their really tragic deaths that as you're aware, did feature very strongly in the public profile. Alongside that, and still ongoing, our review of children with disabilities and complex health needs in residential settings, and recognising the experiences of over 100 children in 3 residential settings in the Doncaster area who had experienced awful abuse, and recognising this is such a vulnerable group of young people. And phase 2 of that has been looking at the broader national picture and is going to be published shortly. Next slide, please. So what has come out of these reviews? Well, we do see evidence at both a local level and a national level that the reviews, the learning that we're looking at as a panel is making a difference. And we had a webinar yesterday on some work that we'd done looking at bruising in non-mobile infants, and it was really encouraging to hear many local areas have gone back and reviewed their own local protocols on the back of the briefing paper that we produced on this. But we've also seen things at a national level, and particularly with the Arthur and Starr review coming alongside Josh McAllister's care review, we've seen a commitment by government with the appointment of a cross-ministerial safeguarding team and an implementation strategy for building on the recommendations both from our review and from Josh's care review. I've mentioned the work that had been done in response to the SUDI review, the non-accidental injury in under ones. There's been £300 million of investment in family hubs and Start for Life programs. Some of the criminal exploitation work has been taken forward, leading on from the review that we did there. Next slide, please. So looking ahead, where are we heading as a panel? We've just recently finalised our business plan for 23-24 and a number of key priorities, including the ongoing core strands of oversight and national learning and leadership, the core panel work, but also identifying particular projects that we want to focus on over the next year, including a thematic review on intrafamilial sexual abuse, scoping for a possible national review on neglect, again one of the key areas that we repeatedly see in the reviews, rapid reviews and notifications that we get, plus work on race, racism and ethnicity, which we're very aware is a crucial safeguarding issue. And with all of that work, the pool of reviewers that we're looking for is absolutely crucial to undertaking these key projects and taking them forward. And it's been really good over the past 5 years to be able to work with some amazing people on our pool of reviewers. We never quite know what the next big review will be. We can set our priorities. There are things that we can plan in advance, and I've highlighted some of those here. But you never know when a particular case might crop up that we feel it's really important that we respond to, or another issue comes to light and we need to respond to that either with some scoping work or by commissioning a further national review. Next slide, please, Lydia. So what is the panel's pool of reviewers? Well, what we're looking for here is a pool of experienced reviewers, people who have the right skills to be able to look at cases in detail, learn from them, and actually disseminate that learning. So some of the key services and functions that we're looking for: undertaking reviews and thematic analysis of cases or issues in child safeguarding which are complex or of national importance, providing specialist expertise in areas of child safeguarding which can be drawn on to support the panel's work. While we have some of the breadth of multi-agency expertise in our panel, we don't have expertise in all areas of child safeguarding, and so we do look to the pool for specific expertise as well as that more general analytic skills and learning skills. Working with the panel's data service, we're in the process of commissioning a new service to undertake more specific data analysis on the serious incident notifications, the rapid reviews that come in. But we also need that qualitative expertise, that ability to draw out the learning from the data and work with this new data service to support the work we do as a panel. And then potentially acting as advisors to safeguarding partners where they are undertaking local child safeguarding practice reviews. And we're about to launch a pilot of a learning support capability to support local safeguarding partners to try and help them improve the quality of learning and implementation of that learning at a local level. So pool members will work with and be accountable to the panel itself. We'll have a lead panel member to take this forward, and the contracted project and secretariat colleagues as appointed as a contract manager. However, in delivering requirements, pool members will be working independently and with minimal guidance, and we want people who are able to do the work and do it well and take it forward in collaboration with us as the panel and with the support of the Secretariat. Okay, next slide, please. So the pool, I think, is a really exciting opportunity. It's been, as I said, a real privilege working with some great members of the pool over the past few years. As we go forward, we're looking to learn from that, improve the way the pool works, and be able to really enhance the work that we do as a panel. And I think it is an exciting opportunity because you're at the cutting edge of learning in this whole field, looking at important child safeguarding issues through a unique national lens and actually making a difference to policy and practice at both local and national level. We're looking for skills and expertise in individuals and groups that are able to demonstrate that they have a knowledge and understanding of children's safeguarding, particularly that interagency working across the child protection sector. Individuals and groups with specific audit and research skills, with communication skills, being able to work with stakeholders, and included within that, the ability to communicate well with both practitioners and with families as part of that reviewing process, be able to learn from others and listen. And then to be able to communicate the findings as well, to write well, to be able to produce good reports, to have good ideas about how to disseminate this learning. And crucially, very clear project and program management skills. We have tight timeframes for doing this work. The learning needs to be contemporary and succinct and to the point. And so those very clear project and program management skills. Next slide. So as I mentioned, we are sort of looking to refresh the pool of reviewers. We've had a great team so far, but we're also aware that there have been challenges for some of the reviewers. We've had some reviewers who have been on the pool of reviewers and have never had an opportunity to contribute to a national review. Others who have been overstretched in different ways. And that we're recognizing that there's been challenges in the whole process of how we procure individual reviews as well as the pool as a starting point. Recognising that the capacity to take on new work, time capacity and so on, can be a significant barrier to individuals bidding for specific pieces of work. The need for greater notice of forthcoming invitations to tender so that suppliers can plan capacity, and particularly where we are able to plan in advance and know that we've got particular projects that are coming up, to give that time frame to do that. Recognising that the current process can at times be time consuming, complex or lengthy, the tight project timescales and so on. So we have taken on board some of the learning, the feedback that we've had from our current pool and from others outside the pool. Next slide. Excuse me. So what we're looking for in terms of going forward is appointing a pool of reviewers who meet those sort of basic requirements of the skills and expertise that we would need to draw on for this work. Sorry, go back again. Yeah. But looking at two particular routes to procuring specific pieces of work. So first, the mini competition, where we identify work that can be scheduled in advance and doesn't need an urgent appointment. The mini competition will identify which suppliers have the strongest, most relevant skills and experience for the specific work being commissioned. So for example, where we're planning in our business plan, we may be doing a piece of work on neglect. We would look to commission that through the mini competition, identifying those within the pool who have the relevant expertise to identify that piece of work, or the intrafamilial child sexual abuse, or the work on race and ethnicity. Rapid award, the second route, is where the severity or circumstances of a case indicate the potential for poor practice such that immediate review is required, or that there are significant issues of national importance so that we need to commission an immediate review. And that would be the case, for example, with the Arthur and Starr review, where it was an individual case that had come to light, or the complex residential settings where there were issues had come to light. We knew we needed to move quickly. So in similar cases coming to light over the course of the next year, we would go through this rapid award process. Also, where there is a need for specific technical or short-term or time-limited expertise, maybe just to do a little bit of scoping work where the requirement is a minimal, I'm not sure that 500 is correct there. Lydia,
should be 5,000.
I thought so, yeah. So where it's a minimal amount of funding required, and we're able to issue a rapid award in that context. Next slide. So the timetable for all of this, the invitation to tender will go live on the 11th of April, so the Tuesday after Easter. With that will be a whole set of documents, including the RFQ, what our essential and desirable criteria are. Queries will need to be submitted via Jagger by 5 p.m. on the 17th of April. So you'll need to have a look at it. Any queries you need to submit promptly so that we can answer those, and everybody is aware of the issues that arise through that. And then the bidding itself will close on the 2nd of May. So that's what, about 3-4 weeks to get your bids in if you want to be considered for the pool of reviewers. We will then have an evaluation process of the submitted bids and notify suppliers of the outcome by late May, early June. Next slide. So, as you'll see, the invitation to tender will be issued via Jagger, so you must be registered with Jagger and the department's purchasing system before the procurement launches. Okay, so you've got to get a move on with this next week if you're not currently registered with that. And there is guidance available. Could that go in the chat, Lydia or Catherine? Just
We'll
so
be circulating it with the
it'll be-
information sent to everybody after the event.
Thank you very much, Lydia. So that will be circulated with the link to the guidance there. Next slide. So that's hopefully a reasonable sort of overview of what we're looking for. We'd like to now open it up to questions. As I say, my colleague Simon is here with me, but also the Secretariat and Catherine from the commercial team are here, so we can answer any things that come out. Do feel free to post your question in chat or raise a hand if you want to ask us. So if we close the slideshow now, Lydia, and we'll take things from there. Right. Just while people are sort of thinking about this, just picking up some of the things in the chat. Gary asks, are there specific gaps we're hoping to fill? I think some of the areas that we've highlighted as our priorities, so neglect, intrafamilial child sexual abuse, the race and ethnicity, those are the things that are particularly on our radar at the moment. Other things sort of come up from time to time and are less predictable. Simon, did you have anything to add to that?
No, thanks, Peter. I think you've answered that question.
Yeah. Okay. And the renewal of the pool, Lydia, could you flag up what our plans are for keeping the pool up to date and refreshed?
Yes, of course. So the pool retains the right to renew and refresh the pool every 6 to 12 months with new applications. The intention with the RFQ or invitation to tender that we'll be releasing is that the pool lifetime should be up to 2028, but we'll have annual break clauses to manage budget and funding changes.
Yeah, thank you. Just picking up on Kathy's point, can you apply as an individual reviewer? Absolutely. We're looking for both individuals and or groups that are already established. So on both lines on that. Joe, you're asking what's the scope to publish scientific papers? This is not straightforward, but something we really want to encourage, that we want the work that comes out of the panel, the data that we use, to be able to reach a wide audience. And I think where we are procuring work that can be undertaken in a systematic and scientifically rigorous way, we would certainly encourage exploring how that can be published scientifically. So definitely sort of that is part of our broader scope. Kate Richards, how has the bidding process changed? Again, Lydia or Catherine, does one of you want to talk that through a little bit more, maybe give a bit more detail about what that involves?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that. So in terms of the mini competition, the bidding process will be reasonably similar to what we've used before. An invitation to tender will be published on Jagger. You'll have a time period to respond to that, and that will then be evaluated. In terms of the rapid award, further information on that will be published as part of the invitation to tender for the pool. But in essence, what will happen there is that the information that you provide as part of your application to join the pool will be used along with information that we gather the time of making a rapid award on your capacity and price for undertaking the work. That will be used to make a rapid assessment of the most appropriate supplier, and then the award will be made. But as I say, further information will be available as part of the ITT, but that should give you the broad headlines.
Yeah, thank you, Lydia. And just picking up on your points there about applying to register on Jagger and Amina's response there, that initial sign up is a very quick process, isn't it, Lydia? And so hopefully anybody should be able to do that promptly.
Yes.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments, thoughts from others? And do feel free to raise a hand if you want to just talk rather than putting it in the chat.
Just while colleagues are thinking about that, I think I'd just like to emphasise the ability that you have as a reviewer working with the panel to support us to bring about really important change. And I hope that you've seen through the work that we have done with our reviews already that actually the recommendations that we are making are starting to impact upon the child protection and safeguarding system. So you are in a position as a reviewer to contribute to really meaningful recommendations, which hopefully, when sensible, are picked up and make a difference in the system. And ultimately, I think that's why we all are in this space. Yeah. And the importance and the significance of your role in that can't be overemphasized.
Absolutely. No, I would really endorse that. Thank you, Simon. Ian, Kai, do you want to come in on that?
Thanks, Peter. Just at any part of your presentation, you mentioned about maximising the impact of learning. Are there any steps in place to sort of look at how we measure the impact of learning?
That's a really good question, and something that's been on our radar a little bit for a while is looking both for us as a national panel, some kind of audit of the impact of our work in our national reviews and our annual reports and so on, but also how we could work with local areas to look at the impact of their learning. We're anticipating this might be part of our learning support offer, to include that sort of real focus at a local level on how learning is embedded locally, the action plans, the implementation, and the impact of that. So that's something that will be an ongoing piece of work. At the moment, we don't have a specific plan for how we would look at things at a national level, but it is very much on our radar and something that we could end up coming back to the pool of reviewers again, specifically to be looking at that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jeff.
Oh, hi,
Jeff,
thanks very much. Peter, I was just wondering, individual versus, you mentioned group and individuals.
Yes.
If you were part, say, of a university team, should you apply individually, and then when a bid comes up, then you would apply as perhaps a group for a particular piece of work, or do you apply as a group and not as an individual?
A good question. Lydia, did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so for me, I think that there is absolutely nothing stopping people applying either as individuals or as part of groups. I think that if you want to apply as part of a group, that can offer plenty of advantages in terms of broadening the skills that your application can demonstrate offering. But in terms of responding to individual future projects, if you apply as an individual, or even as a group, there is nothing that would stop members of the pool working together to respond to a future opportunity. As if you do that, we would expect that there was a lead and that person would essentially be the organization or individual applying. But I think there's plenty of opportunity both as individuals or groups. I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, thank you. And I think sort of reflecting on sort of past work, it's been very unusual, if at all, for us to just rely on a single individual to undertake any one piece of work, because often we find actually you need that breadth of skills, but often that has been done, as Lydia suggested, by two or more individuals from within the pool deciding to collaborate together. Clearly, if you're part of a research team or a group that already is working together, and you know you work well together and you bring that breadth of expertise, then that's ideal. So I think sort of either route could work.
Sorry, can I just come in on that?
Sorry, yeah,
Peter?
please do.
Just to add that if you do think that's a possibility, I'd encourage you to submit in both those capacities, because that means that you, particularly for the rapid award, would be considered in both of those capacities. If you only submit as one, as either an individual or a group, then that would be the basis that you are considered for the rapid award process. So I would encourage you to do both.
Thank you. Yeah, really helpful. Picking up on a few more points in the chat column. Where were we? Gosh, there's a few bits here. How many tenders will we be awarding? Lydia, do we have a view on that?
I don't think that there's any set view on that. It will depend on what the panel desires to commission. I think there will be opportunities, and once you've applied for the pool, you'll have the chance to kind of access those opportunities. So I think we're not able to kind of outline how much will be commissioned from the pool, but it's a doorway to lots of potential opportunities to work with the panel. So it has value there. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, on a similar note, we're not specifying a particular number of members of the pool of reviewers. We will be going on the expertise and the skills and the quality of the individual applicants, not setting an arbitrary cutoff that we'll only have 7 people on the pool or whatever. Okay, so if you feel you've got the relevant experience and expertise, then do bring it. The question of people with lived experience included as reviewers. Again, really helpful comment, and something we're very keen to consider how we can appropriately draw on the perspectives of those with lived experience and of children and young people themselves and of families. But obviously sort of looking to do that in an appropriate way. I think where individuals or groups have got those networks, those clear demonstration of working with those with lived experience, that brings a real added value. I think where there are individuals or groups that include those with lived experience, again, that would bring a real added value. I think individuals who bring that lived experience, providing you also have the requisite skills and expertise that we're looking for, I think it brings that added value. We have got at least one member of our panel who has lived experience of being a looked after young person, and I think that's, again, it brings that breadth and that depth of understanding that we often don't get as individuals, as professionals, where we don't have that lived experience. Simon, did you want to add anything to that?
Peter, I think you've covered it. You've covered it really well. And all I would do is just re-emphasise the importance of that. There is no doubt in my mind that reviewers with that lived experience definitely bring a really strong added value. So would really welcome people joining the panel of reviewers that have got that experience.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, on a similar line, this comment in the chat from Carly, and thank you for your openness there of coming with your own lived experience as an autistic person and with that specific expertise. I think that's exactly the kind of expertise that we could well be looking for with sort of issues like neurodiversity, gender identity, all sorts of things that we come up against as a panel, and often we don't have that experience and that expertise. And so if you're able to bring specific expertise and understanding and knowledge, then I think that's a real bonus there. Please, can you share the link on the site where you have to sign up to? So that will be coming out immediately after this presentation, I think, Lydia, is that right?
Yes, we'll be circulating information to those attending and others after the event. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And could a university team? Sorry, yeah.
Just coming on that, there is a link that Amina's shared. I would recommend not using that one and signposting you to the one that Lydia will share afterwards. It's just that this one that's gone into the chat is to a generic Jagabit, and we have got a specific DFE section. So Lydia, it will be shared.
Thank you, Catherine. That's really
Thanks.
helpful. Yeah. Okay. Yes, university teams can apply. Again, I think the expertise and skills from an academic base is an important part of what we're looking for. The qualitative and quantitative research skills, that ability to analyze and appraise data, to write clearly from that framework is really important. Equally important is that sort of practice grounding of understanding the realities of safeguarding practice. So I think both sides, both the academic and the practice base, are really, really important here. Okay, just scrolling down, any prioritizing applications from Black and ethnic minority applicants. Again, Lydia, can I turn to you or Catherine in terms of our equalities framework here?
I will say that the application process is based on the material people submit as part of their bids, and we obviously look to ensure a fair and transparent process for all applicants. Catherine, I think I'll turn to you to say anything further on that, if I may, because I don't think it's something we've specifically kind of flagged as part of the application process?
So the application process takes sort of is aligned to the procurement contract regulations, which means that we treat all applicants fairly and equally and non-discriminatorily. So it's put together on that basis. There is a section within it where we're looking for skills, experience, and so obviously we are, but we're ensuring that we're open about what that those skills are and experience that are our requirements, but we don't put in any specific extra conditionality or other exclusions or promotions around those protected characteristics, because this is the process that we align with public contract regulations.
Thank you both. I mean, one thing I would add on that is as I mentioned earlier, understanding race and ethnicity and culture and how they impact on safeguarding is one of our key priorities for this coming year. And I think if you're able in your application to demonstrate how you might, if you've got that specific expertise and understanding and knowledge, how you might bring that in as part of your contribution, I think that will add a strength to your application. So just sort of keep that in mind. Now we had Alistair. I was aware you had your hand up for a while and we hadn't come to you. Did you want to come in with any questions here?
Yes, I was just typing it in the chat, so I'll do it this way. It was really, have you got any more information about the new data service that you're developing, and then the sort of analysis you'd be expecting from the panel?
Right. So the data service, we have been very aware as a panel that we have a huge amount of data coming in through the serious incident notifications, the rapid reviews, and ultimately the LCSPRs. And of course, with the notifications and the rapid reviews, none of that is published or in the public domain. And we're just very aware this is a huge opportunity that we're missing out on to be able to learn and draw on those data. So we are separate to this pool process in the process of commissioning a service to be able to, on an ongoing basis, collate and analyze both the quantitative and the qualitative data, particularly from those serious incident notifications and rapid reviews. Now, what we are anticipating is that will then feed into our annual reports. It will be able to undertake specific analysis of particular topics. So, for example, if we had a case that cropped up, let's say fabricated and induced illness, and we wanted to know how many other cases have there been over the past year and what have been the circumstances of those, we could go to the data analyst service to sort of pull out those data for us. Now, that might then suggest to us, actually, this is a bit of work we need to delve into a little bit further. So we might then turn to the pool of reviewers to say, do we have somebody with the relevant expertise to look at those 5 rapid reviews of cases of FII and drill down what have been the learning that's come out of that and what can we take forward to disseminate. Does that sort of give an example of how we might sort of use both of those functions together?
Yes,
does that help, Alistair?
That does, yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Can we go back to the chat then? I'm trying to pick up where we left over. Gosh, there's a lot here. So can you apply if you're part of a local partnership business team, or is that a conflict of interest? As far as I'm aware, that's okay. Lydia, any comments on that?
So I'll say something, and then if Catherine wants to say anything further, please do. So I think from my point of view, the main issue that might crop up with this would be around capacity. If you were already part of a local partnership business team to undertake the work. But if you do, as part of such a team, feel that you would have the capacity to undertake panel work, I would guess that there's nothing to stop you applying either to the pool or for tenders. But I think it would be sensible to declare any interest, so that if, as part of a project, that particular partnership was involved, we could factor in whether a conflict of interest did mean that we would have to look further at whether we could award that contract to you. Catherine, does that feel about right?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. That it would be a standard part of the procedure that there would be a conflict of interest declaration.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, so just be aware of that for that or any other potential conflict of interest that is declared. Valentina's asked, will there be a maximum threshold for daily rates? Yes, and that will be in the RFQ when that is released. Do current reviewers complete the role alongside a full-time job? I think it's a mixture. Some are full-time, some are part-time, some are retired. I think the key thing there is knowing your own capacity, and if you're going to go on the pool of, or apply to be on the pool of reviewers, being clear about what capacity you might have to take on any of these work, and only apply if you know you are going to have that capacity, because we don't want to waste your time any more than you wasting ours. So I hope that helps on that. So the links on autism, will there be clarification on how to register with Jagger? The website was a little unclear when we tried yesterday. Just okay, that's answered. Any yeah. Okay, we take the point, Sandra, about a colour-blind approach tending to exclude by default. I think we've already spoken about the approach that DFE takes on that, but certainly need to take that on board, so thank you. Right, due to retire from policing, would not be eligible. So again, we've already spoken about the process for refreshing the pool. More about the tendering process for data analysis. Where will it be advertised? Now that's going through a separate route.
Peter, if I may step in here.
Step in there, yeah, say where that's at.
Yeah, so I think Corinne, if I may, we'll have your contact details as part of this, and we'll come back to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Lydia. And then Naomi, what does commitment of time look like for members of the pool? So to be on the pool itself, other than the initial application, there is no minimum time commitment at all, okay? However, what it then implies is that we will turn to you when we have individual projects come up, either through that rapid review or the, I've lost my terminology now, what's the other route?
Mini competition.
Mini competition, thank you, yeah. So being able to bid for those according to what the time commitment for that seems to be, okay? Now, that typically we will try and complete any national review within a 6-month period. Often it does drag on a little bit longer than that. In terms of the number of days, it varies enormously depending on the type of review, but that will be spelt out in the tendering process for each individual bid. Again, I mean, I don't know, Lydia, whether you're able to reflect at all on the kind of time commitment that's been involved in some of the reviews that we've done so far.
So I think it's varied quite significantly. Some sort of the more desk-based thematic analysis work, you're probably looking at anywhere between 7 to 25, 30 days. Larger reviews, for example, like Arthur and Starr, were significantly more in terms of time commitment. So yeah, you could be looking at potentially somewhere between 100 to 150 days for those. So there is significant variation, and it really does depend on the project. And I think it's also worth thinking about that when we go out to tender, part of what we'll expect from the response will be the responding bidders' kind of sense of how long the project will take and their kind of project management ideas for that. So I hope that's helpful.
Thank you, Lydia.
I should say,
I'm aware it's just coming up to 11 o'clock. I do want to give an opportunity if there's anybody else with particular burning questions, but we don't need to sort of drag on too much longer if people want to finish the call soon. But Jeff, yeah.
I was just to add to Lydia's answer to Star and Arthur.
Yeah.
There are 4 reviewers there, so you could divide that number of days by 4.
Thank you. Yeah. And I am sure, I mean, Jeff, speaking there from experience, the reviewers put in an incredible amount of work, sort of probably over and above what was called for, but we really appreciate the work that does go in from these reviewers, and I think being realistic about the time commitments, and you as applicants will have some idea as to your own time capacity, the kind of work that you're doing and how much time it does take. So it's very much a collaborative process there. Thank you. So any other final questions, thoughts, comments? And if not, then we can let you all go off and get a cup of coffee. But thank you all very much for joining us. We look forward to seeing your applications. It's been really good to be able to share that with you, and I hope it has answered some of the questions. There will be that opportunity through the process to submit further queries as they crop up when you get round to applying. But good luck. Thank you all very much, and certainly we'll look forward to working with at least some of you in due course. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.